Reliables, a live stream series here on the Zombie Orpheus Entertainment channel on Twitch, brought to you in partnership with Pinnacle Entertainment Group, the makers of the Savage Worlds game system. I'm your host and GM, James Durham. The Reliables is an interactive Savage Worlds tabletop RPG show where you, our audience, have a direct impact on the story and events on the show. Hey, let's take a look at some of the cool things that we have available in the store and how you yourself can interact with them. Sound good? Sound good? Good. All right, guys, here we go. We have the shout out at the $5 level. So maybe you want to say a bad pun or a bad joke. Maybe you've got a birthday wish to give, just want to say something, give some advice. The shout out lets you do any and all of those things. Just be mindful that it tends to edit out any words that it thinks that it is that are swear or inoffensive or anything of those natures. We also have friends with benefits, and you can give anybody in the cast a Benny. It's from a communal pool. They all get to use them. They can use these to re-roll dice, draw a different card during initiative, and have other ways of impacting the story and game as it is happening. They are the currency of Savage Worlds, and they go through a lot of them sometimes, particularly if they're not rolling really well. You can you can treat the GM. And you can give me bennies that I can use to keep my bad guys alive, make things harder, re-roll some of my own rolls, and do other fun ways of mucking things up and jamming up the works. We've got win, lose, or draw, usable by any player, and they can draw an extra card when we're dealing out initiative and choose whichever one of those they want. We also have Dance Magic Dance. If you just need us to be puppets on strings for you and dance for your amusement and entertainment, you can, in fact, purchase a Dance Magic Dance, and we will be forced to do so. There is story time. Select a character when it's purchased, and that character's got to tell everyone a story from their sordid past or an event that helped shape them into the person that they are today. There's all kinds of great things you can learn about our cast and their background by doing so. We have a reliable source where you can get that confessional. A character will talk about the moments that they're in right now, the events of the episode, how badly things are going for them or how good things are going. Those are all the great results from getting a reliable source. We have the rule of cool when physics simply does not apply. And in the most cinematic, crazy, wild plans that any player can come up with, they attempt to do so. You guys on our chat get to vote and tell us which one automatically succeeds with a raise and who has to try at an extra penalty and see if it's even possible for them to pull off their craziness. And then, of course, there is the biggest one of all, the hack attack. If you just need to add something to the story, maybe change what our opponents or monsters look like, add a flood, add sentient transforming alcoholic stagecoaches. All of these things have and can be added with the hack attack. And that is our store. Also keep in mind that the store is what lets us do this show for you week after week. It's how we pay for it. It's how we pay for the lights, the camera, and the action. So, every single penny helps. So if you can contribute, do so. And if not, we understand, but still watch and enjoy the show either way. But hey, now let's talk about the people that I have in the show. I've got a great cast in today's episode. I've got Christian Doyle as Jonamox, last survivor of a species of shape changers and an interdimensional criminal on parole to the team. Jonamox's vast experience as a dimension-hopping thief could be a great benefit to the team. It just depends on how Jonamox intends to use it. We've got Sean Franklin as John Stone, cyborg, badass, hero of many adventures across time and dimensions. Also happens to be the team's leader. It's up to John to forge this group of misfits into a dedicated team of heroes. We've got Xander Layden as Paul, an enormous rock-like creature, last survivor of their dimension. Paul is an expert in all things science, academic, medicine, and occult. Driven by insatiable curiosity, they greatly look forward to each new dimension and discovery on the team's travels. We have Elise Moore as Ranger Rhonda Riddenhauer, the last Space Ranger, protector of the innocent, defender of justice, and possessor of the best human shield merit badge. Together, they are the Reliables, traveling across time and dimensions to make the universe a better place, one mistake at a time. Before we get started, how about I talk a little bit about the Savage Worlds game system that we will use for this show. Like many tabletop RPGs, Savage World uses a dice system. The better a character or creature is at a skill or attribute, the higher the die used in conjunction with that attribute or skill. Success for many basic tasks requires a roll of 4 or better, with those rolls that exceed the target number by 4 or more called raises. In addition, almost every die roll in Savage Worlds can ace. This is when the die roll is the highest possible number. When this occurs, you get to roll the die again and add it together, potentially triggering another ace. Initiative in Savage Worlds, or determining who goes within the turn order, is determined by a deck of playing cards, with those drawing the highest cards acting first. In the case of a Joker, not only can that character take their turn at any time, including interrupting an action in progress, but any skill or attribute rolls made by the character within that turn gain a +2 bonus. Overall, Savage Worlds is fast, furious, and fun, just like the creators intended it to be. So I hope you enjoy the show, and I hope you enjoy the game system. So let's get started, shall we? When we last left our heroes, they had attempted to repair the Reliance using salvaged parts from a pair of villainous vessels which had pursued them. Unfortunately, it would seem the surprises left by Pierce within the ship's systems were triggered by the recent events, sending the jump drive into a series of rapid, unstable jumps through dimensions, while simultaneously disabling the standard drive, navigation, and power systems, leaving the Reliance and her crew vulnerable and not in control of their own ship. One time after another, the Reliance jumps through dimensions, underwater, then in space, then surrounded by flames. They flash like a screen on a bad television set, and then a dead stop before dropping several meters out of the air to crash onto an empty street. Vacant buildings line the road, and scattered abandoned cars linger on the pavement. Despite the appearance of a late 20th century Earth civilization, the city you find yourselves in seems to have been abandoned, and in a hurry.
Rhonda takes out a vial of dust and is like, "I've got you, Mr. Ant. I've got you. I'm so glad you're still safe," and tucks it in.
Riddenhauer, you still have that ant?
Yes, sir. No, maybe. Look, I'm keeping it safe.
Forget it, whatever. Everybody okay?
Yeah, what's the mission, boss?
Well, clearly we can't get this jump drive situation fixed. Unless you have any brilliant ideas, Paul, do you?
Yeah, I got a few brilliant ideas, more or less
about
all
the
the
ship.
time. Oh, yeah, I got nothing. I mean, I could mess around with it for a while. Something might happen, like on the quantum level. You wait long enough, anything can and will happen. And one of those futures does include the ship spontaneously fixing itself. So that's a plan.
Right, so you're basically immortal, we're not. We have not that kind of time. You get it, Paul? Something for now.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could look for parts in this place. Seems like they're better than Stone Age technology here. Give me a little time, I could probably get something going.
Much,
Yeah,
you got any,
Hop to there. Not too fast.
Okay, I'll go look for parts.
John and Mux, you have any news about where we are? Do you know this place?
It looks like a version of Prime, near as I can tell, but we won't know until we see the people, I suppose. Technology looks pretty low level. Space age, information age. Nothing too fancy. Their
Right.
phones probably plug in.
Very well. Let's see what we can find out. I mean, we're here. We might as well see if there's anything. I'll check and see if we have
I
any
agree.
issues
Let's go.
from, if we have any directives from the council on some kind of mission to do while we're here. But our main task, obviously, is to fix up and get out of here.
Right. And maybe we should talk about those guys that were chasing us, whose ship we seem to have stolen.
Yeah.
The makes were curiously similar.
Yeah.
I would say
So,
ridiculously.
Paul, being that you're the resident science expert, with their ships being just like ours, what are the chances that this is actually their ship?
Well, given the breadth and depth of the metaverse, anything's possible. I suppose it's possible that time shenanigans might be involved. That's just a working hypothesis. Considering our ship seems older somehow, or theirs are more advanced, but theirs would be from time shenanigans are a difficult phenomenon to explain in linear language.
Rhonda, having just no idea what anybody is talking about, has now just wandered off, and like she thinks she sees a squirrel and is just like gone to make friends with it halfway down the road.
See, now,
Right.
Rhonda, who currently has no mission, is off frolicking, and the person who we sent off to do things is now in the middle of a conversation, having walked only 1.5 steps before having to stop to respond to you. Should we all be doing something?
Come here. Come here.
Let's explore this place and keep Ridenour out of trouble.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm not worried about the squirrel, sir. She seems to speak their language.
It seems, Rhonda, as you get closer, it's in fact not a squirrel, but a rat.
Oh! Oh! Oh, hi! You're so cute. I still like you. You're a little greener than I thought you would be, but that, ready?
Yeah, it looks a little sickly.
Gross.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
these-
windows are broken out on many of the buildings around you, and the cars are abandoned in the street like they were being driven and then just
Hashtag
stopped.
shout it's 28th century technology. Grab your Walkmans, put your baseball caps on backwards and go out to be the coolest kid on the block. Also, everyone is coming in pretty well this evening. Huzzah.
Thank you, chat. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely 20th century. There's some
What did you say
decent
about the cars
levels.
again?
They look like they were just abandoned in the middle of the street. I mean,
In the middle of the street?
Yeah, like nobody took the time to park them. They just
Oh.
got
This
out.
is very bad. This is very, 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 very bad.
Or
Concur.
very, very, very good. Do you guys have in your universes that idea that at some point everybody
I'm
just
gonna-
gets beamed up?
I am going to head back to the ship.
No, John Amux.
Okay.
Good.
No.
Paul, do you happen to speak rat?
I mean, I can understand intent, but I can't make the high-pitched sounds. It's
I'm
just
not going to want to get anywhere
purely
near
a
that rat.
vocal register issue. They're very squeaky. I'm kind of a baritone bass.
So that's a no. All right. Next time,
Yeah.
just say no.
I mean, I can
John?
try. I'm happy to try.
And
Guns
that's
down?
when you hear it.
Guns
Steps. Lots of steps and the crunching of gravel
Guns
and
down.
glass under feet. from just about every direction.
Just how
And then you see the first of them, shambling, shuffling, jaws rotten off in some cases, bits of flesh missing from their bodies, torn and ruined clothes,
I'm going to go back to the ship, though, okay?
and the stench of death and decay.
John Amux, what's your issue?
I don't do zombies, sir. Vampires, werewolves, no problem. Zombies, I do not do. I just think they're gross.
What? They're slow.
Oh, are they? I think that depends on where you find them. I have personally run into zombies now on 3 different occasions. And no 2 sets are quite the same, depending on what dimension you're in. What if they're the ones that are all pissed off and run 40 miles an hour? They have those. Do you know that in one metaverse, they have ones that shoot their tongues out of their bodies several yards to trap people like frogs? They didn't have tongues like that before they died. They didn't have them. They grew those after.
Calm. These seem to be the shambling George A. Romero-esque type zombies. And if they grab you, just turn into water, okay?
I don't know if you're familiar with my track record as of late, John Stowe.
Right.
Now,
Rhonda just walks out into the middle of the road and just does her whole, stop! Ranger here, cease your
Rhonda!
actions and no harm will come to you. Drop
Rhonda!
your weapons and
Ridnour!
come peacefully or people will
Ridnour!
be forced upon you.
Rhonda!
Ridnour.
That
Rhonda!
didn't work.
Ridnour!
They're not stopping.
Rhonda?
Yes,
Ridnour?
they're
Those
not
are
stopping.
not people, Rhonda. They're not
Rhonda.
people.
The smell is nearly overpowering, Rhonda. It is horrible.
Zombies, Rhonda.
And they are getting closer and closer, shambling along. And that's we're going to go into the lovely initiative cards as they start to come out of every alley and out of every building around you. Zombies everywhere.
And not a drop to drink. Because John Mutz can't transform into liquid.
Here we go. So we're going to flip these cards. Now, in the case of the zombies, I have to draw a second card and take the worst of the 2 cards. So in this particular case, we're going to go ahead and maneuver things around here and get rid of one of the cards because, unfortunately, the second card is worse than the first card, and they have to take that.
Is that a Styx I have, James? I can't tell.
That is a 6 you have.
Excellent.
So it is, in fact, I believe the worst result that you can get, John Amox, is a 6.
It is.
Yeah.
I think we've already determined how my day's going.
Well, on the positive side, these zombies are significantly slower than yourself. The negative side, they seem to be everywhere, from every angle, coming towards both you and the ship itself, though they don't seem to regard the ship with the same incredible intent hunger that they are looking at most of you with. So how about you start us off, Paul, with that 10 of yours? Zombies everywhere. And what is a giant rock person to do?
So Paul is going to match the zombies' pace more or less, kind of shamble up to them, and they've got some reagents, in their kit. They're gonna just gingerly kind of get a little piece off of one of them, and just do a little on-site testing while they kind of swarm around them. Just assuming that if they try to bite Paul, good luck. And this is functionally, I'm attempting to do a Monster Slayer roll.
Excellent. So I'm going to need an occult roll from you to deal with these zombies for your Monster Slayer. What do you have for the occult skill?
That is a 10.
All right. Can I get a 10 and a D6 wild die, please? Six aces. And that is going to be an 8 together, which is a raise. What kind of great benefit do you give your allies with a raise on your Monster Hunter capability?
With a raise, oh, I gotta zoom in. So A raise reveals special abilities and gives +2 trait rolls to allies. I also get the weaknesses of the creature in question, though I have a feeling I know what they are.
All right. In the case of these zombies, they are very, very slow, and while they lack any sort of technology or weapons to make them incredibly dangerous to the more heavily armored among you, but numbers can make a difference. As far as weakness go, well, being slow, shuffling undead creatures, fire works, as does directly damaging them. The bones and flesh are not particularly strong, so they're susceptible to just about any form of physical harm without having much of a recourse. They don't heal or regenerate cellular tissue in any way, so that's a definite drawback for them, especially in the long run. I mean, in the case of most of these, they are actually rotting, and with too much more time passes, they won't have any flesh left on their bodies. It's been some time since these things turned. Mm-hmm.
They're well seasoned.
Yes.
Yep.
And the smell is absolutely horrible.
Aged marble.
You are also fairly certain that their disease, their virus, is spread through their bites.
Yeah, guys, you seem to know zombies, but don't get bit. Just word of advice.
Oh,
Right.
thanks, Paul.
Yep. Just want to make sure you knew.
All right,
Nope.
but for everyone, because of Paul's Monster Hunter capability, you are all going to get +2 on any trait rolls you make that are opposed or against these zombies for his intelligence gathering that he's accomplished there. And after Paul, we have Ranger Rhonda Riddenhauer going next at a 9.
How far away are our shuffling friends here?
At this point, to yourself, mere feet away from you and closing.
Is there anything in the area that's like a telephone pole or anything large and swingable?
There are, in fact, telephone poles, power poles, light poles. I mean, this was a thriving 20th century city at one point.
Hit 'em with
Now
a
not so
motorcycle.
much. But there's a variety of objects of that nature around.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab myself the biggest thing I could swing comfortably and just like lawnmower a little half circle around all of my friends, just weed whacker, because these guys look pretty unstable, and I think all they need is a hard shove, and they're down for the count.
All right. Well, in that case, we're going to need an athletics test first to try and rip that pole clean from the ground to use it as a weapon. What is Ranger Rodna's athletics capability?
12.
All right. We are doing a multi-action in this case, so you're going to take a 2-point penalty for multi-action. So a D12 and a D6, both at a -2 for ripping this light pole free.
What does Paul's bonus go towards?
Anything that is used against these zombies. So you're going to end up countering that multi-action penalty when you choose to attack them with the light pole, assuming that you can, tear it free from its housing.
Yeah.
So that D12 and D6, both with the minus penalty. A 6 aces. Oh man, so either have a 9 or 10 the best result. At -2, that's still a raise. And a titanic effort. Rhonda rips a light pole clean from the ground, from its mounting place, both hands gripping it, and then turns, and you're going to use fighting to swing that at said zombies.
And then my fighting's a D12 as well.
All right, the +2 and -2 cancel each other out, so it's just going to be that straight D12 and D6 for the fighting test against the zombies. Are you trying to harm as many as you can or knock as many of them down as you can?
I'm trying to, I guess at this point, knock as many of them down.
Excellent. All right. I believe we are encountering a little bit of technical difficulty in the studio, and so he's having to do double duty and get those D12 and D6 ready as well as try to solve an audio issue. I'm sorry for that, Mark. I hope that it gets corrected.
I hope you grow 2 more arms.
I was gonna say octopus time. Yeah.
All right, with a 10 is not only a success, but a success with a raise. So an entire, I don't want to call it rank because they're not exactly organized, but an entire like row of the crowd of zombies are sent flying in different directions, knocked back into the crowd, thrown over the tops of cars or through the storefronts of nearby buildings. Many of them becoming just tripping hazards on the ground for the other shuffling zombies behind them. But all in all, it is devastatingly effective and clears a large area around both yourself and your allies.
This is kind of fun, you guys! This isn't bad!
And then we go to John Stone, our team leader, and not inexperienced with zombies, I should point out. John Stone has dealt with zombies before.
Fantastic. It's stone time. I said stone in particular.
Time to get stoned.
Rock on, right, Paul? No.
Oh, yes.
Is there you said there are a lot of vehicles just abandoned. Is there a minivan nearby?
In fact, there is a minivan. The door is all the way open on the side as though the passengers exited in a hurry.
Fantastic. I'm going to go over to said minivan, open up the back. I'm sure it's quite roomy, like an Aerostar or something. And, lift the back of the hatch so it's wide open. Screw it, I'll rip the door off, I don't care. No, I'll leave the door, I might need it. So the back is off. Then I run around to the front of it and I begin to push it quickly, scooping up as many zombies as I can along the way, and just basically stuffing minivan full of zombies like a really, really horrible van pool.
That sounds like the worst van pool ever. That's definitely going to be a multi-action, and in both cases, we're going to involve athletics as the action used.
Funny you should say athletics, because I'm dealing with a 12 plus 3, and then of course the -2 because of our friend Paul. So.
An actual +2 from Paul, yeah,
Plus
which is
2, excuse me.
countered by the multi-action penalty, but you still get your D12 +3, meaning even that lowly 3 is still a 6, and still a success. Again, thanks to both yourself and Paul, your extraordinary athletics ability, and Paul's extraordinary abilities at dealing with monsters and pointing out their weaknesses. You were able to get it going. It takes a moment because it was clearly in gear, and so the transmission is completely obliterated by you forcing this vehicle, which should probably not move at all if anyone less than John Stone was actually pushing it along. But you happen to be strong enough to push a vehicle that is in gear or in park, and straight into this crowd of zombies, filling up at least a half dozen, perhaps more, are scooped up in the back as you push it into the crowd. And there are still zombies everywhere, but you have definitely made a dent in that front rank.
And then I run around to the back and close it. They can't. Their manual dexterity isn't good, so they can't unlock it or anything.
Clown car full of zombies. Not canned zombies, but vanned zombies.
Is that my whole turn, or do I get to do anything else?
That's going to be the turn, but we're going to go to Jonomox next and see what he's got in store for us.
I am going to attempt a double action because I'm going to shape change.
Sure you are.
All right.
I am. I'm going to do it, and you can't stop me. So yeah, I'm trying to go into my liquid form, which is my natural form. It shouldn't be tough.
Sure.
Experience tells me that I need an 8 and a 6, please.
All right.
And I'm
An
not
8.
gonna look. Don't roll them yet. Okay, no, that's fine. I'm fine. I did fine.
Hey, a 5 is a success, so there you are.
Even with my multi-action penalty.
Oh no, that becomes a 3 with the multi-action penalty. That actually
No,
wouldn't be a success.
Wouldn't it? Man.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not an action against the zombie, so the bonus from Paul's not gonna help you on that one.
Man, that's.
Of course, you do have bennies available you could use if you want to try to roll that a second time and not fail at a shape-changing roll.
Nobody.
because-
So
I'm
instead of
You know what? I'm just gonna pretend like it worked.
so instead
I'm
of
going to
changing-
continue on with my action as though, yeah, I am liquid. I am liquid. I am liquid.
But instead of becoming liquid, his nose just starts running.
So I
Yeah.
go down into stealth mode. I move full speed. I get under that minivan. I plant a C4 charge. I get the hell out and I pop the and I blow up that van.
All right, blowing up a van, that's going to be a repair roll to use demolitions in this particular case. And this one, your multi-action penalty is canceled out by Paul's expertise helping you because you're using it against said zombies.
Awesome. I'm doing 6s.
All right, 6s for both. Straight die rolls.
Well, as straight as they get for me, anyway.
Are you sure you don't want to use a Benny on this one?
Yes, I'm
Not
going to
only
use
do you
Benny.
have your basic ones, there are also 2 in the store.
I am using a Benny on this one.
All
It has
right.
to be done.
Has to be done. Hey, there we go. That 4 is gonna
Thank
be
you.
a success, and we
And that
have.
4 also marks my highest roll of the day.
Yep, highest roll of the day so far for you, Jonas. But that does detonate the C4, and I'm gonna have you give me a 3d6 for damage on that to see how horrifyingly deadly this
Now,
is.
Mark, when you do this, I'd like you to pretend like one of the other players is rolling.
If we can get 3d6 for damage on that C4 explosion. Not terrible. And having the advantage that it counts as a heavy weapon under Savage Worlds rules, it's going to be fairly devastating as it explodes, sending bits of van, and of course, the zombies contained inside of it also become both shrapnel and liquid from this detonation. And a very large path of zombies is cleared by that explosion, sending dozens of them flying through the air and parts of dozen more flying through the air. Some of them, of course, are not completely killed by this explosion, but have enough limbs removed that they simply collapse to the ground and try worming across the ground towards you without arms or legs or missing parts of their face or chest.
Now, this whole time, I'm just crab walking, pretending to be liquid. We understand that, right? I'm even making little, like, slithery sounds, even though that's not this. I'm like, dribble, dribble.
Oh man.
The crab walking Jonomox detonates the C4 and makes some zombie soup. Now, of course, there are quite a few zombies remaining, and they are going to proceed to move forward and make some attacks. They completely ignore you, Paul, even though you're the closest to them. Moving around you, kind of like they do the cars that are parked on the street and other inanimate objects, not making a single attempt to cause you any harm whatsoever. Pushing past you and beside you until you're, completely surrounded by them as they go past. A large group of them, of course, immediately goes for Ranger Rhonda. And so we're going to have 5 of them are going to be attacking Ranger Rhonda, and they're going to use the gang up bonus because there are 5 of them. They get a +4 bonus to their rolls to try and hit Rhonda. So if I can get 5 6-sided dice rolls to fighting checks against Rhonda, all of them gaining a +4 bonus. What is your parry, Rhonda?
I have, so for block, I have a 9 parry.
You
I
have
get to
block, don't you?
I do. I get to ignore 1 point of gang up bonus.
All right, so that's going to reduce that bonus from 4 down to 3. And it looks like we've got an 8. And did one of those dice ace, or is it just a bad-looking 5? I can't tell. It's a 5.
It's a 5.
Okay, so the best result is an
Getting
8.
Attack started for later maybe. Not related. Worm Court is now in session. All right.
So 8 is going to be the best result. What is that parry of yours again?
9.
Oh, so just shy. Thankfully, your block skills kick into overdrive, and you backpedal, dodging and blocking attacks using this giant light pole like it's some kind of a quarterstaff, pushing away these zombies that attack you. And it keeps the majority at bay, so only a few more get through to attack your allies. I'm going to do 2 attacking at Jonamox, both again at D6. Oh, wait, stop. Before I roll those D6s, we'll get those out of the way. Jonamox happens to have first strike, so he gets to attack the first one of those ones that joins combat before he even gets a chance to be a zombie and try and eat Jonamox. That's a fighting roll.
Yeah. I'll take it. I'll take a D12 and a D6, please.
All right, that +2 bonus from Paul still benefits you, even when it's
Great.
using your first strike capability. So a 7 is going to be a definite success, and you are going to lash out and stab one of the zombies before it even has a chance to attempt to claw at you. What kind of damage do you do when you stab a zombie?
D8 plus 2D6.
All right, a D8 plus 2D6 damage.
Oh, the signature weapon. Is that just a hit?
Oh, that helps with the parry and the
There it is.
attack.
I wasn't looking right at
Oh
it.
man. Overall, that is more than enough that with one quick swipe of your favorite knife, you remove the head of the zombie. So only one of those 6-sided dice, which of course already failed to beat your parry score, even manages to be an attack by said zombie, and you defend yourself quite handily from the remaining one. And then
Still scream.
Still screaming.
I still scream. Ah! Because of crab walking.
And that leaves only 2 others that attempt to attack John Stone. So if I can get 2 6-sided dice to be attacking John Stone's parry score by said zombies.
This isn't going to go well for said zombies.
Probably not, but you know, they don't really think about the whole morale thing. But that 1-6 does ace and becomes a 10. What is your parry score, John Stone?
A 10, huh? Huh, wow, my parry is 9.
So it's just enough that that zombie is going to hit, and we're going to get to roll a D8 for damage as it attempts to damage John Stone's toughness.
Wow.
So he's going to be half man, half machine, half zombie.
Wow.
Potentially.
That's
Uh,
not
Math
even.
checks out.
It's not
in
even
this
gonna slow him
particular
down.
case. Yeah, what is your toughness again, John Stone?
It's not going to touch him.
My toughness is 18.
Yeah, in this particular case, the zombie reaches in, grabs hold of a handful, and bites hard right onto one of the completely metallic parts of John Stone. And there is a horrible crunching noise before teeth fall away from the zombie's mouth. And it's just gumming you.
Can it fall out
How is John Stone making me feel sorry for zombies?
I wanted to fall out with that like xylophone sound effect that like Looney Tunes have when teeth fall out. Like
Yeah. Isn't it the opening of Girls by the Beastie Boys?
Sure, why not?
It is fairly devastating to said zombie, as it no longer has teeth to bite with whatsoever. And I'm going to deal out another round of cards. And before we start getting to action, something is going to occur in this round when I deal out these cards. We're going to flip
rap
them.
battle.
And it looks like I've got to use the second card for the zombies
a
again. As
Joker.
the
And
second card
Give me
is
one too.
lower.
Mm.
Yep. So we're going to grab one more for yourself there. Let me get rid of that 5 of yours real quick.
Yes, that 5 is stupid. I hate it. And that 6 also.
2 jokers.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
What?
2 pennies. We all got
Yeah.
2 pennies.
That is 2 bennies, and you know, the both of you, of course, can interrupt anyone's action in progress, or you know, duel over who goes first in this particular case.
Yeah, and we got to reshuffle too.
And yeah, we'll have to shuffle after the end of this round. But before you guys decide to start going yet, an important thing I will point out is all the running lights on the Reliance flicker and turn back on, and the ship's engines begin to hum as though it is restarted.
Okay, then we need to get back to the ship right away before it jumps without us.
Yeah, gotcha.
Of course, there is quite a bit of zombies between you and the ship at this point that have come from all those alleys. So you're going to have to make your way through quite a bit of zombies to get there. Now, unless Ranger Rhonda or Jonah Mox want to start first, we can go.
I'm gonna clear a path.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna clear a path by shape changing. No, guys, I'm telling you, I am a shape changer. This is totally gonna work. This is the time.
Form of an ice toboggan.
Yes,
you got it, buddy.
I am essentially Zan from the Wonder Twins. I admit that. And if one of you would just carry a bucket around from now on, this wouldn't be an issue. Give me an 8 and a 6. Let's make him sting. Come on.
In this particular case,
Why?
Don't get upset because on this particular case, the Joker gives you a +2 to everything you do in the turn. So that 2 becomes a 4, which is a success.
Oh,
You did it, Jonah Mox.
I did it.
Yeah.
I am the wind.
Now turn into Tang.
Excuse me, did you say you are the wind?
I am the wind, and I am going to blow a gust of myself, basically separating them like the Red Sea. So there's an alley for my crew to run through.
The Dead Sea, if you will.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're gonna part that Dead Sea, and boom. Yeah. So cone. I have a cone attack that I can use a shooting ability, and it will make people make a strength roll or be knocked away 2d6.
Excellent. Oh, how's that shooting roll going to go for you? What do you have?
Well, that's an excellent point. I believe it is an 8. Let me double check here. It'll pop up. Boom. There it is. Shooting is, in fact, an 8.
All right. So let's
I'm really
get that.
good at rolling dice today. So
Let's get that D8 and that D6 out there. Still getting a.
I just matched my best roll of the day, right there.
Still getting a
4.
+2 bonus from Paul's occult capabilities, getting you to a 6.
That is a 6.
So that's
but
a success.
I am going to spend a Benny to re-roll.
All right, you want to do better than 6.
I want to do better
than 6. Better than 6. It won't be better than 6, so we keep the 6 in this particular case.
I'm going to spend a Benny to re-roll.
All right.
Now I'm going tin cup on this mother. 8 is
a success with a raise.
I'm taking that success with a raise.
All right, so
and now they're going to be worse at getting not knocked away.
Yep, they're going to have to make that strength test at a 2-point penalty, if I am not mistaken.
That is correct.
Poor Mark in the studio. I need you to give me 16 8-sided dice rolls, all at a -2.
Hey, if anybody can handle it, it's Mark.
Those other 2 arms would be a big help right now.
Yes, I know. There's quite a bit of them.
Cool thing is Mark can count, so.
All right, that is going to be all 16 of these dice rolls. And
Nice.
Looking at those results, let me see if I can go through and see. Did any of them with a -2 actually get a 4 or better? That is the real question. I see 2, 3, 4 of them. 4 of these zombies in the immediate path between you and the Alliance have held their ground. The other dozen of said zombies have been scattered, flying through the air, some of them flying backwards and bouncing off the Reliance before crashing through a storefront or the like.
That'll give them 2d4 non-lethal damage, which probably won't affect them since they're zombies.
That is correct. Non-lethal damage does not have an effect on these zombies. However, they are launched all over the place. It looks like I miscounted. There were 5 of those that succeeded. So 5 of them. So only 11 zombies are one.
I succeeded a shape change roll by only using 3 bennies, and I think that's impressive.
And
It
then,
is quite impressive.
and
But
then-
Maximum efficiency.
Form
John
of a
Stone.
gust of wind. One
Boom!
zombies all over the place.
Plus,
Having an
that'll take me
almost-
all the way back to the ship.
That in fact does, because you were said wind that blew the zombies through the air, launching them off of objects and into each other, leaving only
And then-
5 zombies between the rest of the heroes.
Then John Stone says, that confirms it. John Amux blows.
Yeah. Take off
You
the
gotta take the
sunglasses.
glasses. You gotta take
Yep.
the glasses off.
The problem
Yeah.
is if he
I'm
takes
a
the
cyborg.
sunglasses off, his
Yeah.
eyes come with him.
They're cyborg. Yeah, I can't,
we have the
you don't
rights
wanna
to that
see
song?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
have the
don't
right
think
to
we do.
any song we want. We have tons of money, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we can't afford it, we just roll a Benny.
We only pay you as much as we do to be insulting.
And now let's see, unless Ranger Rhonda wants to go next, which I think.
Oh yes,
Yep.
she does.
Yeah,
right.
he does.
At this point, I would like to. It's like a caper toss, but I'd have to do it sideways and run backwards and launch the pole and see if I can, like a Scottish Highlander, take out the last 5 if they are within a 30-foot span.
It is definitely possible. This, of course, is going to be an athletics roll to try and launch it and succeed in hitting as many zombies as possible. And you still get that +2 bonus thanks to Paul's Monster Hunter capability.
Yes. So for athletics, I have a D12.
All right, so a D12 +2 and the D6 wild die. We are going to get a 13 for the best roll for a success with 2 raises, which is enough to, in fact, hit all 5 of these zombies. And they're, again, going to have to make some of those strength rolls to try and hold their ground. So if I can get 5 more of those D8 strength rolls from the zombies to try and hold their ground. It looks like 2 are going to succeed. No, 3 will succeed on those. So 3 of these zombies, while struck by the object and obviously having more bones than their bodies broken and mangled by the impact, still managed to hold that gap between your allies and the Reliance. I'm also assuming you're making your way towards the Reliance at this time as part of that caber toss?
Yeah, I think I had to end up towards the front to be able to not hit people with the caper. I also want to point out that Rhonda, seeing Jonah Mox like crawling on the ground going, I'm a liquid, I'm a liquid, I'm a liquid, thinks it's like a self-help trick. So she's going like, I'm a catapult, I'm a catapult, I'm a catapult. As she like works her way backwards through them and tosses it. So I'm going to toss, which I think puts me towards the front, and I'm going to keep heading in that general direction.
All right, but we've still got 3 of these zombies in play between the crew and their ship, which is rapidly powering up and might just jump without you if you don't make it soon. That puts
Who's
you next, Paul.
Paul, I have an
Yeah.
idea if we're able to work together. I don't know if we
I
can.
mean,
Unless you have an
always
idea.
Open. I mean, I got an idea, but you're the commander, and tactics is really your kind of bag.
How tall is Paul again?
Paul is 9 feet tall.
Perfect. Very simply, my plan was to get Paul to simply create himself, just stand up straight and tall with his arms extended straight above him, standing up as tall as he can. So basically he becomes a giant column. And with his arms extended above his head, now he's something like, 14 feet?
That sounds
He
about
stretches
right.
way up.
That tracks.
And so then I would have him simply fall over. I catch him, and then holding him in the middle, I have John Amux and Ranger get behind me as I just run through the remaining zombies using Paul's body to just bat these guys aside, cutting a path, and then we all just run straight into the Reliance.
Using Paul as a ram. Is that what I'm getting?
But
to
a
this?
sideways ram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm already on the ship. At the ship, right?
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Paul as a ram. I can get behind this. This can be done.
I mean, it's hardly dignified, but that's
True.
not really
You're testing
something I
physics.
care about. So, yeah, go for it. Seems effective.
I mean, if they're down for it, I'm gonna have them lie in my arms and just run.
Excellently. Excellent.
I'm
me
gonna film it using a slow motion technique so I can play it back to them later using "I just died in your arms tonight" for when we do movie night on the Reliance.
Not the bodyguard.
Oh, maybe it depends on how long the run takes. I might just play Chariots of Fire over it. There's lots of possibilities.
What is it?
Nope.
The
I want to rock.
officer and a gentleman.
Yeah.
All right. In this case, I'm gonna need
New York City.
2 different rolls. I'm going to need a roll from Paul first. In his case, I'm going to have him make a strength roll to try and maintain that perfect column formation while John Stone runs with him and batters aside objects at this place, the objects being zombies. So what is your strength, Paul?
My strength is a 12.
Whew, a D12 and a D6 for the wild die. We're going to get a 4, which is a success. So it is enough that Paul is able to maintain that perfect column shape. And then from John Stone, we're going to need an athletics test. This getting, again, that +2 occult bonus from the Monster Hunter capability from Paul. What is your athletics?
Catching Baby from Dirty Dancing.
My athletics is 12 plus 3.
Oh, so D12 plus 5 because of the great bonus from Paul's Monster Hunter capability is going to give you a 12, a success with 2 raises. And you quite handily, using Paul as a sideways battering ram, knock these zombies aside, getting everyone back on board the Reliance. And just in time, as the jump drive powers up, and as these zombies clamber over each other and swarm in to try and get their hands on the Reliance and find some way inside, they're simply gone. And in a blink, you're no longer on that city street surrounded by zombies, but an entirely different dimension. One that is actually quite dark. You can see almost nothing around you as you arrive. And then water starts to drip in through different parts of the ship, and the pressure from outside causes the ship's hull to creak and groan under the strain. And it gets a little colder inside.
Can we get a visual of what we're in on screen by chance?
Well, you're a water person. Can't you tell where we are?
I am clearly an air person right now, as you can see by my fabulous whirlwind form. But yeah, I guess I could if I was a water person, which should be
I'm
no
a catapult.
or a shape changer of my particular.
I'm a battering ram.
I know. Use a lamp pole like a chump. Should have just used Paul the whole time.
Should have used Paul. That's what I'm here for.
You're right. This does call for an amazing shape changer. All right.
Get
ready to put on some water form. Here we go.
Is the ship's sonar working?
Well, most of that just as quickly as you jump, almost everything on the ship goes offline again. Power going away, plunging everything into darkness. You, of course, John Stone, have cybernetically enhanced senses enough that you can in fact tell that, yes, the ship is very much underwater and sinking, and the pressure is mounting. And the Reliance, despite its capabilities to withstand space travel and all sorts of other wonderful environments. A lot of that hinges on having the capability of having its systems engaged to create shielding and other sorts of safety and life support systems to keep people alive in these kind of environments.
Shape change.
Let's see how this goes. Oh, it aces!
Hey.
Whoa.
That's
And a
double time.
success with a raise for
Whoa.
your shape
You're
change.
in your element.
Wow, you changed the hell out of that shape.
That's right. Which is like the liquid form is my natural form. This should be super easy. And every time I say that,
Should be.
I'm a puddle on the floor. Okay. All right, I'm going to go see what's out there. I'm going to try and help maintain integrity, fix
All right,
potential leaks,
Yep,
get out
you,
there and, yeah.
You can slither through one of these leaks, which of course are very dangerous to the ship as the pressure is mounting. And as you get outside of the ship, you are most certainly underwater. In fact, it's pitch black underwater. So you're very, very, very deep underwater. You are fairly certain. If there is anything but water in this particular dimension, you couldn't actually say. It's quite cold.
Probably not. I'll bust open a glow stick, see if if there's any kind of other things here. And
So it's
How-
like a
yes.
rave now?
fixing
Small fish start about and other forms of undersea life. You are most certainly underwater. Inside the ship, Paul, you can do the mathematical calculations in your head, and you estimate approximately 4 minutes before the pressure becomes too much and the ship crumples like a tin can.
What are you calculating, Paul?
It's gonna take 4 minutes till the pressure crumples this thing like a tin can. So we're gonna need to repressurize this ship or get out of here or float it. The situation.
Now, what are you doing?
Just trying to stop the leak, sir. She's got like hand, elbow, like leg. She just pressed herself against the wall. It's just still coming through. Just faster now, like putting a finger on a spigot. Like it's not helping at all.
Very Dutch.
Yeah, it is not helping at all, but the effort counts.
She's heard that a lot.
Are there any, Paul, are there any systems we can repair that will help mitigate this situation at all?
Well, if water's getting in the pumps, we might need to flush the engines. It's probably gonna be our best bet.
Not going to do much good if the pressure destroys you.
Well,
And it'll just be me and Paul down here in the dark.
forever. Yeah.
I mean-
Forever.
I've got a suit on. I don't really know what this does, if it works here, but
Does it make air forever underwater? Because if not,
well, it keeps me going in space. And, I don't freeze to death. I can still breathe, so there's some amount of sealant to it.
Can it survive the hull crush depth that we are at right now?
Paul?
The suit?
the answer is for a while, man.
For a while, yeah. And
deal with that.
that's relative. Gosh. I
Either we
guess
can repair systems, or we can try to do something to force another jump. Unless any of you have any brilliant ideas.
Well, if you've got any systems that'll work that are on the outside, I can work on those while you work on the ones that are on the inside. How's that sound?
pincer movement. I like it.
Propulsion systems to help us surface again. We need to go back up as fast as possible.
Okay, I'll get to them from here. You work them on them from engineering, I guess.
It could be possible. With a group effort, you might be able to save the ship. It's going to require getting some kind of power back online. I mean, thankfully, Paul has been working on a project in some of his spare time to create power from produce inside of his lab, and already has a working battery system that functions off of potatoes.
Oh crap!
Yeah, it's kind of complicated, but essentially you run a wire from potato to potato, and the potatoes
What if
generate
you're low
electricity.
on potatoes, but you have a highly conductive crew member who can make himself longer?
Well, these potatoes, I mean, there's some wicked GMO, mega potatoes. They've got some serious wattage.
My internal power systems, it can't power the ship, but it can jumpstart it. If we have a certain system we need to get online or just prepare enough power to get it going, I can loan some of my juice.
Rhonda just disappears and comes back with like 8 sacks of potatoes. She's like, just don't ask where they came from.
Good initiative, Riddenauer. Paul, so what are you thinking?
I'm thinking we get this potato battery going. Jonamux, you're going to be going outside, addressing the problems from there?
Well, not if I don't need to. It's cold and wet out there.
You're cold and wet.
You're made of cold and wet.
That's nothing. That wasn't
I'm made
meant
of
to
warm
be
and wet. Thank you very much.
Well, as a group effort, it could be possible
moist
to
at
get
best.
something working there. In the case of combining Johnstone using his internal power source, a very, very wise and quick-thinking move on his part, using the conductive nature of the body of Jonamax and Paul's improvised battery system, it might very well work. You, of course, will need the extra hands from Rhonda to try and do as much as possible in a short period of time because, time is of the essence at this present moment. So from different individuals, I'm going to need some different roles. For John, I'm going to need an electronics role in your particular case.
Very good. 4 + 4.
All right, a D4 + 4 and a D6 wild die from John to start out this system.
Come on.
What?
No!
With a critical failure.
Oh, no.
Jonamux! Did you roll for me, Jonamux?
Oh, man.
Well,
Okay,
you
I'm
can
taking
put
a
anything
failure.
on me.
We're Bennying that.
You can't Benny a critical failure, unfortunately.
What?
Poor
As
John
I've
is going to be
learned.
stuck with that. So while John does open up his internal power source to your battery system, unfortunately it causes a short and Johnstone simply collapses to the ground. Seemingly asleep, depowered. You're not really sure what, but he's absolutely motionless.
We still have to do it. Okay.
Yep, so the next step
I'm gonna use hacking to both get Johnstone going and to maybe upload a small subroutine.
Okay.
While I'm there.
All right, what is your hacking skill?
Let me take a look. Hacking, D8.
All right, a D8 and a D6 from Jonamax attempting to do some hacking. We have a 4, which is gonna be a success. You're got enough working in there that you can get most of these systems online. Yeah, John is very complicated. You get enough of him online that you're able to get this jump in juice that perhaps Paul's going to be able to use to function with or make this battery function. Unfortunately, with just
reliably we have critically failed. But what? It isn't Jonamox. It's actually John Stone. Hashtag jam up those works just a bit harder.
Oh, thank you, chat, giving the GM a Benny to use against these heroes. That, of course, could never possibly come in handy for me. So you're able to get those systems of John Stone to nominally function, and he's starting to come around, but it's going to take a minute for him to completely reboot.
That's okay. I'm not in a hurry.
Unfortunately, with only a success and not a raise, you weren't able to pull off your secondary goal, which was to disable the transmitter that he can use to electrocute you at any time. So that, of course, is going to have to stay in effect. And then, Paul, in your case, I'm going to need 2 different roles from you, Paul. In your case, I'm going to need a science role, and I'm going to need a repair role.
Okay, those are going to be 2 D10s +2 on both.
All right, D10 plus 2 for both of them. Wow, we've got a 12 on the first one.
Hashtag benefits if John Stone reboots into safe mode. Does that mean Eli is in charge?
Oh, we have not discussed Eli yet on the reliables. That could be an interesting conversation. A 10 and a 12. So success with 2 raises and a success with a raise. You are able to wire in, get this battery that runs off potatoes started and plugged into the system. And our final person to roll is going to be Rhonda, and she's going to be making an agility roll to see how many of these potatoes she can get plugged into your battery in time for it to get started, and see how many of these systems are going to work.
Just make sure they're all touching me.
She's like eating one like an apple at the same time. It's a D8 for my agility.
All right, let's get that D8 and D6 rolled. With a 6, we're going to have a success. The 4 would have been a success too, but the 6 is a little bit better. And you are able to get dozens and dozens of these potatoes hooked up, and just enough power.
Stone time. It's what, huh?
Sir, good to have you back.
What are we doing?
I'm
what's-
a little bit inside you. Hold on.
Yeah, John Stone comes back online. Simultaneously, the emergency lighting on the Reliance kicks on. Some maneuvering thrusters kick on and start putting you a little bit higher up and pushing you further out of these crushing depths. Still completely underwater, but no longer descending, and increasing the pressure. And some of that shielding and the magnetic seal comes into play, making a lot of these leaks stop. The water stops dripping, and the groaning and creaking of metal plates decreases to a slightly duller sound, less of a chance of just instantaneously being crushed. Of course, put some running lights on the outside too, and now you can see through some of these scattered viewports the water surrounding this and all of the abundant sea life.
Well,
Actually
this is
kinda beautiful.
nice. This is really nice. I like this a lot.
What kind of sea life are we seeing?
All kinds of tiny little fish and invertebrates, and a variety of small and beautiful little creatures moving around. Some of them using the now moving Reliance as a reef or other object, to hide in and along as it
sea
moves through.
monkeys.
And cue the Leviathan.
Rhonda's just at a porthole going.
I can see Ranger Rhonda being Potato Girl and John Stone being in charge, being the one not understanding it.
Thank you, chat.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about, cue the Leviathan, but just as quickly as you've seen all this life, it suddenly scatters.
So that ain't-
And then there is nothing around the ship but water, dimly lit by those running lights. And then right by that porthole you're looking out of, Rhonda, there's suddenly a really enormous eye looking at you, and it's bigger than the porthole itself, slowly blinking.
What
I'm
would
going
that
to
be?
disconnect myself from the Johnstone potato clock in hopes that the lights go off and make it not pay attention to us.
Well, the lights flicker, but they are staying on at this point, as John was just used as a jump start for the system, and those potatoes are maintaining enough of a charge to keep the maneuvering thrusters and running lights functioning.
Hey, Paul, what is that? What would that be?
That's
Tell him it's a bird. Tell him it's a bird. Tell him it's a bird.
that's an eye. Can I see more than that?
It's hard to see more, and then you see a lot more as a massive tentacle blocks out the entirety of that porthole with a huge suction cup-like appendage right over the porthole itself. And then you hear that groaning and creaking from the hole again, but it's louder and different. Definitely not caused by the pressure, but by something else. Something perhaps squeezing and crushing the ship from the exterior.
Yeah,
You know, back
that's,
on
I think
Back
we're
on
going to
Earth.
need a bigger ship.
that's a
maybe.
problem.
Back on Earth Prime in 2020, Seattle acquired a new hockey team. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
Seattle?
That's where
Fluimble
they,
with Cthulhu Rulio Garner Gloftigan hashtag draw.
Oh,
Was that
thank you,
Fatane?
All right, that's a win, lose, or draw. So the next time we draw initiative cards, which, hey, we're about to
He
draw
who
those.
stumbles around in darkness with a stick is blind, but he who sticks out in darkness is fluorescent.
that
Oh,
sounds
lovely.
100% original.
It might very well be. So, but this particular time when we deal out cards, if anyone so chooses, they can draw a second card and take whichever result they wish. Because of that draw, that win-lose draw bought by chat, of course, you don't have to use it now. You can use it at a different time, but any player can use it anytime we do a card draw for initiative. But let's find out what we get for these lovely cards and see how you're going to deal with this other terrifying situation.
I like how we're using the cards to see how we're going to deal.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to have to pull the card here for Jonamax and draw him a different card because he can't have anything that low.
No, it's in his contract.
This is right.
Slightly better. Still not particularly great. But it looks like that John Stone is going to be the person to get to go first.
Fantastic. By the way, the word we were looking for is Kraken. There's a whole Seattle hockey and. All right.
You realize you're the only one from your Earth, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean the lore spreads. Earth Prime is like the ish.
Oh, well, I mean, the Seattle Kraken are famous across all universes.
Yes, they are.
I mean,
Okay.
many feats at climate change arena.
I have.
Rhonda, when you
plan.
got that human shield badge, did they also give you one for sucking up to the boss?
Actually, they did. I was top of the bottom of the class, which meant you were the worst at everything but favored by the teachers. So, you're welcome.
Right. Speaking of sucking, Kraken, tentacles, focus, people. So,
Indeed.
here we go. I have an idea. It's going to involve me being
One of your
used
local
as a,
sports teams. No.
as a tool again. I'm going to need help from at least Paul. So I plug in to the ship system and directly into any of the electrical conduits that connect to the fuselage, the hull, and I use my stun gun, but amplified, to turn the entire hull's skin into a giant stun gun to be fired off the next time the Kraken grapples the ship.
That's,
But I'm gonna need some help to
that's,
pull it off.
That's 20,000 leagues right there. I love it.
Wow, that's actually a really, really, really brilliant plan. Unfortunately, you're going to have to wait until Paul goes if you're going to want to use Paul's help on that particular one.
I will totally wait until Paul goes, but he's next, isn't he?
Unfortunately, the Kraken will go just before Paul, as the spades goes before clubs, as reverse alphabetical order is used on ties. So that Kraken is going to try to crush this ship and get at the soft.
Hashtag hack attack what's Kraken lacking? Thanks, Simp. Also, according to the Phantom Med, all you have to do is cast summon bigger fish and get yourselves a truly enormous sperm whale. Just keep Ahab away from it.
I cast summon bigger fish. Oh, man. Oh yeah, no.
All right, it's going to try and do some crushing damage to the hull of the ship and get at the gooey, tasty bits inside, which in this case is, the crew. So if I can get a D12 dice rolled for me, and it's going to get a +5 bonus because of its massive size, and a 12 is enough for 2 raises. So while it does not immediately rupture the entirety of the hull of the ship, numerous new leaks spring as plates are ripped and crushed, and water begins to rise up on the floor, and it's not quite ankle deep, but it is starting to pool up in the corridors and in the chambers on board the ship. And that will then take us to Paul, who's cooperating with John Stone, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And John, can you tell your family to leave or something? Can you like tell them shoo, get out of here or something? John Mux,
What was the question, John Stone?
your people, your aquatic people, can you get them to move or something, or push them out or send them home?
Oh yeah, hold on. I'll use my aquatic telepathy on this real quick. It'll just take me a few minutes for it to get through to him. You might want to fight him off in the meantime. Go.
So Paul and I.
Fascinating.
Yes, I've heard about your plan. I want you to go over this just a little bit once more in case anybody in our audience missed what your idea is just yet.
Okay, I'm going to enlist Paul's aid, and they and I are going to work on this one plan. I am going to patch into the ship. It may include me even bracing my hands up against the fuse. I don't know, but we're going to patch into the ship. I'm going to use my stun gun weapon, but channel it through the electrical conduits of the ship to turn the entire hull into a stun gun to either incapacitate at best or scare off at worst the Kraken, so to leave. So I'm going to need to be the tool, but I will probably need Paul's help to make this happen.
Absolutely. Because you're using your own amplified power source, that's going to come into play. So for the two of you, I'm going to have Paul actually make his roll first. And in your case, Paul, I'm going to need a science roll from you for this one.
A science roll. And as I'm doing this, that's going to be a 10 plus 2 if my memory serves. Yeah.
That is correct.
I just want to give a heads up to everyone in the ship who might be standing in water to maybe try to, get out just in case it moves in. Yeah. I don't know, like lift yourself up or something. While the energy's going through, it might just go into the ship.
Rhonda's just piled up the bags of potatoes and is like on top of them. Like just clean to the mouth.
Liquid.
All right, we have a 5, which is a success.
Maybe a bucket?
And then for John,
carry me around, Gleek.
For John, because he's actually using his own physical capability and essentially is amplifying his own stun gun through his own body. And we're going to use your vigor for this one.
My what?
Your vigor. Your fifth.
Oh,
step.
vigor. Oh, okay. I just didn't. Okay, got it. I can do that. That's a 12.
Ooh, a D12 and a D6. We've got a 6, which is a success. Between the combined efforts of Paul and John Stone, they are able to send a significant electrical charge to the exterior of the ship. Now, of course, this does get through some of the water that gets through to the interior, but it's more of a dull tingle for you, John Mox, down there in the liquid as part of it. And it's kind of passing through your body. It's actually kind of relaxing, to be honest. It feels kind of good to move through it. It's pleasant sensation, very tingly.
Sort of nice.
It's like a shiatsu.
It's kind of tingly. It's different. It's different. You would definitely call it different. Perhaps even
itches a little.
Maybe even stimulating. Of course, for the Kraken on the outside of the ship, it is not nearly such a pleasant sensation. As the electricity arcs into its body and those many tentacles which have gripped the Reliance, the shock travels up those tentacles and they spasm, causing a little bit of extra crushing for just a moment before abruptly releasing and jetting away. And at that moment when it jets away, everything blacks out. The windscreen or the little viewports are all covered with black. It's like black liquid has completely surrounded the entirety of the Reliance.
Ugh.
You guys, we made him ink.
I convinced him to break off using my aquatic telepathy, Johnstone.
Good job, John Mux.
I need to study this.
Indeed. And with that, suddenly all the systems on board the Reliance again kick back on. Drives start up, the pumps kick in, and water begins to be filtered out. The hum of the jump drive starts up. It kicks in, and everything flickers for a moment. And as the water drains away, you find yourself on a grassy field. Looking out around you is pure chaos. A battle rages around the exterior of the Reliance. Anthropomorphic beings, various animal types, are fighting each other in an open conflict. Some in uniforms of blue, others in uniforms of gray. Muskets and cannons are going off, and some of them are fighting in brutal hand-to-hand combat.
You sure it's not ant to ant?
Well, no, they're not insect anthropomorphic. They are predominantly mammals, but there are some avians and reptilian individuals among them, and amphibians as well.
You got me excited for a second there.
I know.
There's so many just strange implications about this particular dimension already. Basically, this looks like the U.S. Civil War from Prime, but all of the characters involved, instead of being humans, are anthropomorphized animals, which begs the question, who are they enslaving?
Well, beasts of burden, probably. Mules and such.
That is so fucked up!
Yeah. I just wonder why we keep landing in the middle of conflict. Can we just land in a peaceful glade or something?
That'd be
See
nice.
some things frolicking?
Well, obviously not.
Some of them that you can see close by the ship became immediately terrified as it appeared, backpedaling away from the ship, even from each other, dropping weapons in some cases, and fleeing.
Rhonda,
But the
tell them
battle
that
continues to rage.
Tell them we're here in peace. We don't want to hurt anybody.
They're going to see a spaceship and freak the f*** out.
But Rhonda has a way with, other kinds of
Wearing
sentient-
power armor and carrying a giant hammer?
A peace is peace wherever you are, whenever you are. The light is the light, the dark is the dark, all right?
You are going to get shot with a musket.
What's a musket? Muskets are pretty old, right? I mean, they can't pierce my armor, right?
Some of them have already turned to fire, said muskets at the Reliance itself, and they bounce off completely harmlessly. And that's when the first loud noise from something impacting outside, and in the distance, one of those cannons has fired, and the cannonball has impacted the Reliance and caused a small dent.
Oh no, this is not gonna work.
Okay,
Oh.
so judging by, just patterns, we've got a little bit here until we get to leave again. So...
Let's get that cloaking device working, shall we?
Oh.
Yes, when in doubt, hide.
Are their munitions powerful enough to actually damage the ship, Paul?
Those
Can I?
cannons will do it.
Yeah, I mean, just judging from the sound, there's going to be some mass behind that. Can I see the impact point?
Yeah, you in fact can see the impact point. It just hit a very large one of the hull plates, not a particularly vulnerable spot, and only made a partial dent. But by the impact site, if some part more vulnerable was hit, it could theoretically do some damage. It would, of course, require them to have a lucky shot or a well-aimed shot at something that they would have no idea what they were pointing at. But with enough bombardment, those cannons could cause the Reliance some damage. It would just take some time.
Yeah. I mean, cloaking would be worthwhile, but if some of these shots are random, just part of the
Who would
Malay.
fire a gun randomly? That's so irresponsible.
We did, I think, land in the middle of a battlefield. So as long as they keep firing at each other, I'm just going to say we're probably, potatoes in the way. You know what I'm saying?
And
Right.
again, thankfully, even with the majority of power systems having gone out right after the jump, that a potato battery is still functioning and keeping the emergency power on. So you still have a little bit of juice to work with for some of the systems on board the Reliance. You are not completely powerless.
All right, look, we don't want to have to beat up these people or animals or whatever they are for no
They're
reason at
going
all.
through a very rough period in their history.
Exactly. So, Rhonda, can you be an envoy for us? Try to, broker a peace
Snakes,
or
maybe? Snakes?
I have a story from back on the farm. When we were fighting with the farm next to us, it happened. I was against it. And so my sisters were on one side and our neighbors were on the other. And what I was able to do was to put a sheet over my head and cut the eye holes out and run in the middle of the field going, boogity, 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 boogity. And everyone got very scared and ran away. So nobody got hurt. They later told me they knew it was me and that nobody wanted to hurt me and I was in the middle of the battlefield, so that's why they left. But I still say that it's a good idea. If we're not able to get the cloaking working, maybe...
Put on sheets, cut holes in them, and run out in the middle of the battlefield?
Yes! Or whatever that version of that is.
get one.
John, you want to tell her why we can't do this?
Or, Rhonda, how about this? One extra large sheet you get on Paul's shoulders and you both run out and really scare them.
I love this idea.
No, just the Rock Man would do it. I'm telling you.
What do you say?
But
Paul?
I would
Want
have-
to try it?
I mean, the optics are sketchy, but if it worked on Rhonda's farm,
I would
Why
like to
not
point
here?
out the time that I murdered Hitler and how much good that did all of us.
Look,
Right.
This is an important moment of their history. Maybe we shouldn't with them.
I would love better than for nothing to happen. We're stuck here. And sooner or later, they're going to hit us with one of their cannonballs and damage the ship further. We can't have that.
But
So
what
either
if
we
they
get some
don't?
kind of peace or scare them away, one or the other. So what's it going to be, Jonah Mox? Peace or scare the hell out of them?
Oh. Well, I mean, I guess we could scare the hell out of them. Can we not do it by cutting holes in sheets?
I mean, we should be able to power the guns on the ship.
The one gun that
Animorphs is
Vector has
just
been-
Manimal the next generation. Fight me. Hashtag shout.
The Reliance has unfortunately been
not
unarmed
wrong,
for
Gordon.
most for
Yep,
most
that's what I
of
was
your
thinking.
for most of your journey. The Reliance has been without weapons. One of the primary points of Vector's last salvage mission with some of the members of the team was in fact to take parts from one of the guns from one of the downed vessels that had been chasing you, and he has been in the process of wiring it into the ship, which is one of the reasons he hasn't been available in your current endeavors, as he is, neck deep inside of the ship working with wiring, installing a gun that he insists is going to change the way that you're able to do business with the Reliance.
All right, how about this? Paul is the most unlike them out of the four of us. If we let Paul go out there, maybe Paul can scare them off because they won't know what type of apparition this is, and Paul can do the job for us. Right? Paul, you go out there and just start, yelling or waving your arms, and maybe they'll just be scared and run away.
I like this plan. I've been told I can be a little off-putting or alienating before.
That's nonsense,
So-
Paul. You're charming.
That's very kind of you to say. I appreciate that, Jonah Mox.
Anytime, bud. I just call him
Um,
like I see him.
But yeah, I could do this. I'm sure it would be very effective.
Yeah. So how about now? And now hold on. This is the hard part. You might have to move quickly. You might have to like really move out there like fast. That might, accelerate their
I'll-
fears. If you.
I'll see what I can do.
Ideally, you don't want them shooting at you until you're far enough away from the ship where the cannons aren't going to damage it.
So I tuck into a ball. I roll down the hill so they think it's just a boulder. And then I pop out and I spook them real good.
Sure. Yes. Do that.
I'm going to go
like
take
this
out one of
idea.
their cannon emplacements.
All right.
All right, so the two of you slip out of the boarding ramp onto the green fields of a terrible, terrible ongoing battle. I am not going to do cards for this, as it is going to be just the two of you making a couple of quick actions through what I would refer to again as what Lovely Savage Worlds provides us with, a dramatic task, as this is in fact a dramatic task. And I believe that, Paul, you were attempting to intimidate them, is what you're really going for in short
Ultimately.
form.
Yeah.
Now, usually you would have to make the intimidate roll, and in your case, I believe it would be untrained, as you don't have the intimidate skill.
Yeah.
Now, normally that would be a D4 -2. However, because you are such a strange and rather terrifying to them alien being coming out of what is clearly some form of spaceship, or who knows exactly what it is that they think that it is, you in fact are going to get to roll that without the 2-point penalty, as it will be offset by a 2-point bonus. So you're going to get to roll a D4 intimidate for your version of events. Now, meanwhile, Jonah Mox, you said something about taking out a cannon emplacement?
Yeah, I figure once they see this rock man, they're just going to start shooting at him. And I don't have a lot of faith in Paul's ability to get very far away from the ship before he's noticed for being a 9-foot-tall rock person. No offense, Paul. But I'm not going to say that to Paul, because I really respect Paul as a scientist, despite the fact that he keeps getting used as a battering ram and or human shield.
Indeed. So how is this sabotage effort going to be? Are we talking about...
The sabotage effort is actually rather simple. I'm going to fire a plasma pistol at one of the powder kegs.
Make sure it's
Okay.
not near Paul, because they can't move that fast.
I'll be rolling. I'll be rolling.
Yeah, no,
all right.
Rolling
Oh,
This
rock.
is good. This is going to be at a cannon emplacement, far away from Paul, so it draws their attention really away from Paul.
Okay. I'm going to have Paul do his D4 intimidate and D6 wild die first. The 6 aces.
Yeah, buddy.
And in this case, it is an 8, which is a success with a raise.
All right.
So in the moment that ramp goes down, Paul rolls out of it in boulder form, rolling to the bottom of the hill before springing up to his feet, arms extended, waving them somewhat erratically, and terrified anthropomorphic beings of various animal types scatter in complete terror, some of them throwing their rifles into the grass before running, others just simply stumbling and falling over each other in their efforts
Now,
to
Paul,
escape.
point at the cannonball. Point at it. Point at the cannon.
And then for John Mox, I'm going to require a shooting roll for your part in this dramatic task.
D8 and a D6.
A D8 and a D6 from Jonah Mox to shoot a plasma pistol at a powder keg. And a 6 is a definite success on that stationary powder keg, which detonates horribly from that shot from a plasma weapon, sending bits of metal and shrapnel all through the air, destroying one of the cannons entirely, and even creating a small crater in the ground. The crew of several of the other nearby cannons immediately turn and flee in absolute terror from the devastation that is caused. And in a few moments, this once raging battlefield of these beings trying to kill each other and then turning their aggressions on your ship itself becomes, in fact, two terrified, fleeing armies in blue and gray coats running from the field as fast as they can in opposing directions.
I think that went well.
Rhonda just yells out the back of the ship, and learn to love each other!
Indeed.
Give it a while.
You might say
Yeah.
Paul was emboldened.
Um. Yeah. So my acting lessons have finally come into play.
By the way, you still owe me for last week.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's in the ship.
It's okay. We don't really have money.
Well, you know.
And with that, the systems on board the Reliance kick back on again. And
Oh.
engines
Back to the
start
ship
hum.
before we hop.
Everybody, hold on.
Rhonda grabs the ant. She knows what to do. She's got her little ant dust vial. She's like, hold on, little buddy.
Excellent. And
I'm
racing
trying-
back on board.
I'm hurrying Paul back on the ship.
I'm going.
Just as you
I'm
get
going.
on board and the ramp closes up, things start to flicker and shift, and the swirling energies surround you, and then you're in space.
Space.
Yes, space.
How low can you go?
Space.
Stars
nice.
are beautiful around you. There are distant planets.
This is more like it.
It is remarkably peaceful.
Sure it is. There's an
Well, that
exploding.
was crazy.
There's a supernova about to go off somewhere. A black
No,
hole.
it's just
Chinks is
comfy
like that.
and
gonna get hit by a comet.
Do I recognize the configuration of any of the stars?
you have not personally been to this dimension before.
Okay.
But you do vaguely recognize them as being somewhat similar to other different dimensions you have visited before. There is a lot of parallels between the various dimensions. But enough differences that someone as educated as yourself and who has studied virtually every star chart in existence, you are pretty sure this is not one that you have traveled to yourself. But you can make note of several different things floating out in the void of space that tell you that this is definitely a place of advanced technology. There are certainly other spaceships and spacefaring beings in this particular dimension.
Rhonda's just at the porthole trying to wave to people. Hi!
It's the most comfortable you've been in a while, Rhonda. You know, back out in space again.
Yeah, this is actually kind of nice.
Hi.
All right.
Back at
well,
it again.
Of course, at that moment, the ship jerks and stops and begins being pulled through
What?
space in what you can only assume is a tractor beam.
Tractor beam.
Tractor beam. It feels just like a tractor beam.
Smells like a
Yes.
tractor beam.
Where's that coming from?
Moving around, you're able to find one of the portholes, giving you a decent enough view looking out, and a very large, very ugly-looking ship. It's pulling you towards it with these large manipulator arms out front of it that look like they're designed to rip things of metal apart and then stow them on board the ship itself. But it's a salvage vessel, you are fairly certain, those of you who have been spacefaring individuals before. And you have just been claimed as salvage, it would seem.
So
Right.
none of our communications on the ship work, correct?
You have the emergency power from the potatoes. You could, in fact, perhaps wire up communications to work.
Do I have the ability to communicate just on my own to the ship?
As it gets closer, you will come within range very rapidly. So very soon, you're going to get within that distance. Just before those arms are going to be within range to, grab hold of the Reliance and rip it to pieces.
That's what it's here for. All right.
I'm gonna do that thing.
What thing is that?
That thing where I hide.
Okay.
That's not going to help at all.
I'll remember you said that.
I've definitely seen salvage, and I know what's coming next. And there's no Rhonda grabs the potato bags, heads for wherever the ship is going to couple with the salvage ship, and like starts laying them out like sandbags. So, like she's getting potato bags from like other, like clearly Rhonda has hidden potatoes all over this ship, and she is now has like starting just to create a barrier where she thinks that these people will start boarding the ship. She knows what's
Fine.
As a space ranger, I see this all the time.
So as soon as I'm in range, I jump on a hailing frequency with them, and I send a message. Salvage ship, this is Commander John Stone of the Reliant. This is not an abandoned vessel. This is not a scrap vessel. Lower your tractor beam.
All right. In that particular case, John, I'm going to want a persuasion roll from you. So what is your persuasion skill?
Well, it is 4.
All right, a D4 and a D6. Persuading people has never been your strong suit, but usually they just listen to your authority. So let's see if that works for you. If we can get a D4 and a D6, as John is going to try and talk him out of ripping the Reliance into itty-bitty pieces to use as salvage. 6 aces and becomes a 10.
Okay.
The arms just about to reach the Reliance itself and begin to tear into it. Stop. And retract. Unidentified ship. We apologize for any inconvenience. And the tractor beam lets you go.
Well, that was easy. All right.
And the salvage ship flies by the viewports, heading further out into space in search of more scrap.
Rhonda has no idea any of this has happened and is like battle ready with the potatoes, like talking to the ant dust, just like in her own little world.
You have created an entire potato bag fortification at this point, almost a semicircle blocking off things where you can get behind and be protected from, and are ready for just about anything.
There's like windows, like really.
Ranger Ridenour. Ranger Ridenour. You stop, Ranger. Stop. It's okay.
Ranger.
It's not okay. I'm ready, sir. I've seen what these people can do. I'm ready.
They're gone. They've left.
Wait, seriously?
They're gone. Yes. You can use your maul and make mashed potatoes for dinner if you want, but we don't need to fortify. They're gone.
And other good news that in addition to that, Vector has finally finished wiring in the fancy new gun he acquired from the salvage from the other ships previously. Of course, there's no power. There's no power to make it function just yet. But now the Reliance is, in fact, armed. It is no longer a defenseless ship, assuming, of course, that Vector's wiring worked, and that it's not just going to cause more irreversible damage.
He had the whole episode. He better not have messed this up.
And with that, suddenly the systems kick back on. Power goes throughout the ship again. The jump drive hums. Things flicker. The green energy surrounds you briefly. And then you find yourselves in a beautiful green field dotted with fruit trees and multicolored flowers. Twin suns shine brightly overhead. The exterior temperature outside of the ship is warm.
What?
It's looks idyllic. It's wonderful. It's perfect.
Are there things frolicking?
Yes, in fact, there are animals frolicking, rabbits and deer and the like through the field, and it's absolutely perfect and gorgeous.
They're coming right at us.
Birds, it is wonderful. It is an incredible sight to see. Until, of course, a shadow blots out the suns overhead and blocked to.
Come on!
And darkness, followed by a extremely high frequency. Is it sonic or is it psychic? It's hard to tell, but whatever it is, all of you are filled with incredible pain. Pain inside of your skulls, inside of your electronic receptors and circuits, John. It's just terrible. Completely blacking out what you can see almost, so that your eyes are like rolling up into your head, and a lot of you collapse to your knees.
It's horrible. That entire conversation that I had with that Kraken.
Yeah, it is horribly, horribly, horribly painful. It's immense. It's relentless. And you're drawn or down on your knees and then on all fours, just fighting with all of your will to even stay conscious under this onslaught. And after minutes of this, you can hear the sound of the airlock being forced open and boots making their way across the deck. From your fortified position, you see them first, Rhonda, as you're fighting the pain that the robot-like beings that you have encountered just previously, like the action figure-esque creatures, stomp through and past you, a couple of them roughly grabbing your pain-racked body and putting manacles of some sort on you. You're not exactly sure. It's so much pain you can barely tell anything. And they're making their way through the hallways. They grab hold of Paul and of John Stone. And the last thing before you black completely out that the three of you see is the liquid form of Jonamux dripping down one of the cracks in the floor and out of sight. And that is our episode. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Hey, but there's more Reliables coming up with all kinds of things to find out. Like, did Jonamax just betray his allies, or did he only slip away? What do these strange dimension hopping villains want from our heroes? You're going to find out next week when Bryce Bebop, Christian Doyle, Sean Franklin, and Xander Layden star in our next episode of Reliables, Stowaways. Make sure to catch Void Jumpers on Wednesdays, Zoe Game Night on Thursdays. Follow us on Twitter, on Facebook. Join our Discord channel to hear all about all kinds of fun and new projects and shows and talk about the ones that are going on. And if you haven't already, check out the Fantasy Network for hundreds of thousands of hours of free content. Free content. So much of it. Thank you again all so much for watching and for taking part and supporting us. We will see you all next time. Thank you and good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye. Don't forget to eat your potatoes.
Drink your old.